afternoon. Welcome aboard, guys. It's Monday. It's the show. It's heading back to the window with Scott and Scott. I am your host, Scott Steen, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Redshaw, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
And together, we do it every day, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, heading back to the window. That's where we want to send you to cash those winning tickets. JC Stone says, greetings from the Losers Lounge. I need to get 86 out of here. I think a lot of us had that kind of a weekend. I had an utterly horrific, mind-numbingly bad weekend. And then I couldn't get OBS to work on Saturday night, Scott, so I didn't get to shoot a video for yesterday's NFL action. But judging by the way the games went, that probably was not a bad thing. So yeah. How'd you guys do?
Overall, I was fine.
All right. Yeah,
I had a pretty good weekend. Unfortunately for me, I ended up losing on the NBA play I had yesterday, so I didn't sweep the board or anything. But for the most part, solid weekend. UFC was nice to me. Made like 2.5 units from there, so that was nice. But yeah, looking forward to the new year. I know you're looking forward to Christmas, but either way, a lot of holidays in store. You excited for NBA on Christmas, so you're not a fan of all that?
You know, I'm okay with that. It's kind of fun to have something to watch on Christmas. I'd rather watch college football or NFL, but you know, you take what you get. AJS is here. Says no hockey tonight.
Pretty sure there's one game.
Minnesota Dallas. That's going on, right? That hasn't been canceled.
But as far as I know, that hasn't been canceled yet. So that's the only game on.
Big X. The X is in the house. The X Factor. Scott, was this become a national story with the Chiefs fan known as X Factor? Did you see any of that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, well, he's the guy that has wears the arrowhead instead of a cheese head. He wears an arrowhead, and he's all dressed up in red and yellow. But he's a kind of a scummy guy, kind of a drunk. Rumors are he's a bit of a perhaps likes to do a little crystal meth on occasion. Again, these are all alleged rumors. I certainly don't want to put anything out there that's not true, but he got kicked out of Arrowhead he got a lifetime ban for getting in a fight. He got absolutely clocked by another super fan. It's like the like furries arguing with each other, Scott. It's just the super fan shit is just ridiculous, you know.
But you're rooting for the same team, so why are you punching each other?
Yeah, you're rooting for the same team because it became all about them, about their recognition as being the Chiefs' best super fan and all this ridiculous shit, you know. I don't know. To me, when you're spending that kind of money, you've taken it a bit too far. Especially, this wasn't a guy that had a lot of money, judging by the way he dressed and with the clothes and where he lived and everything. So, I mean, when you're spending 150 a piece, so you're spending 300 and just $3,000 on tickets, another 500 to park, so you're a $3,500 investment. You know, I don't know. I think when those games are on TV, there's a better alternative for your $3,500. But you know what? You do what makes you happy. All right, enough of that rant. So let's get to it. Let's just talk about, you know, the good news and the bad news. We're not going to spend this time just bitching about everything. At least I'm not. Again, it's one of those weekends that make you question everything about your existence. And I should just go live in a monastery and not ever watch fucking sports again. And it was weird because I had such a great week. I had such a fantastic week. We did well on the farm. The farm is still intact, so we're our burgeoning. We're like turning into J.R. Ewing here, buddy.
We're rolling.
All right, very good. Well, we'll get to that a little bit later. Of course, we're going to talk about the Sunday NFL action. We'll preview today's games, as it were. And, but let's get to it. Let's find out, first of all, who else had a bad weekend and who had a good weekend. We'll take a look at, of course, the Monday edition of Call Them Cobbs. All right, Scott, there was a lot of ones that could have qualified for this, but we'll start off in the college ranks, the bowl game there, Louisiana and Marshall. If you get under 56, pretty good shape. 37, 21-16 after three quarters. 20 points in the fourth quarter. Congratulations. Thanks for playing no defense at all, boys. Tight game. You thought maybe you'd crank it down a little bit. Maybe stuff them on third down. Nope, none of that happened. As Louisiana, Marshall, you've dramatically disappointed me. Game landed 57. That's 1 point more than 56. You had the under there. Oof, call the cops.
And looking at a Friday bowl game between Middle Tennessee State and Toledo, total was 50. And if you had the under, you were in good shape. 31 points going into the fourth quarter. 24 points in the fourth quarter, including a quote-unquote meaningless touchdown drive there by Toledo at the end. Game landed 55.
So far the bowl game unders have not been a very solid bet, Scott, and I know you and I liked a lot of those.
I would say that we liked a couple of overs as well, so we haven't been completely destroyed on those.
No.
But yeah, definitely if you've been betting unders, I think you've cashed one up to this point.
I would say once, yeah. And I think
Yeah, the Utah State game, that was pretty much it.
And two favorites have cashed, right? That's it.
I believe so. Just actually looking through that. Liberty cashed, and Louisiana cashed. So
Yep.
2 so far.
That's it. Yep. 2 out of 8. Nicely done.
Yep.
So of course today you and I both have the underdog. I can say that now. I've got ODU as a premium, and it started off well, and now not so much. Told you it's going to
Still early.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we said the same thing after they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving to the NFL, if you had the Packers minus 6.5 against the Ravens, you know the drill on this one. They led by 14 points, less than 5 minutes left. Ravens 13 unanswered. Packers win by 1, but you don't care about that because you were laying 6.5, and they scored that second touchdown there in the fourth quarter. You're toast. Congratulations. Call the cops.
And the last one in the NFL, if you had the Falcons and 49ers over 47.5, you had 44 points with a minute left in the third quarter. And then you had 0 points the entire fourth quarter. Game landed 44.
Yeah, that's probably the worst one. I'm gonna throw an honorary mention out there just because I had this as one of my premiums. We had the under 44 in the Bills Panthers game, and we were fortunate the Panthers field goal kicker pulled up lame during warmups, and that helped, and we were right on track. They scored 3 points, I believe, in the first quarter. Everything's going swimmingly. The game is sitting at 38. Bills driving, gets to 4th and 2 from the 12. Bills with a 10-point lead. Of course, you kick the field goal there to make it a 2-touchdown game. That's not what they did, Scott. They decided to go for it on 4th and 2. They didn't just get a little running play to pick up the first down and then kill the clock. Oh, no. That's not how my weekend went. Play action pass, wide open, right down the seam, touchdown. Bills, you wouldn't miss the extra point for me? No, fuck, you wouldn't. 45, how that one ended. So, yeah, I'm throwing an honorary mention in there for Call the Cops as well. But all right, so now we're shaking that all off. It's like yoga class. You shake off all the bad, and now it's the good news. Oh, you bring in the good vibes. These are the people that were they were living right, Scott. They were right where they want to be. You make those bets, you don't even have to sweat it. Why? Because you're sitting in the goddamn rocking chair.
So, first one was in college, looking at a matchup between Liberty and Eastern Michigan in the bowl game. Liberty, -9. Very easy. They led by 23 at halftime, won by 36 points.
I'll sum up my weekend with one quick phrase, Scott. I like the Eagles there.
That's fair.
Just pretty much how that went. Yeah, you want to jinx an underdog? Yeah, I'll take care of it for you. Thanks. Hey, if you had Utah State, Oregon State under 68, yeah, there you go. Congratulations. You finally hit an under. They had 24 points at halftime. They scored about half of that in the second half as that game landed 37. Congratulations. Never a sweat. You're sitting in a rocking chair there.
And looking at the NFL, if you had the Cowboys and Giants under 43.5, 18 points in the first half, game landed 27. Michael Lennon couldn't do anything offensively for the Giants, and Dak Prescott, even though they won the game, didn't look great either.
And finally, this was my play of the day on our video, as I had the Jaguars. Got a good number, Scott. Got that closing line value locked up, buddy. Had the Jaguars minus 4.5. That went to 6 by game time. That fucking didn't matter because they had nothing. Nothing. Texans +6. Texans never trailed. Not once. They won by 14. We're faced with the very distinct possibility. May not have been Urban Meyer's fault completely. That team just might suck.
It's definitely possible, but I still wasn't sure why the Jaguars were favored by so many points. I guess that was kind of the okie doke where the Jaguars were favored by a decent amount, so you figured somebody's got to know something. I took it relatively, I'd say, public-y. At least that's how my breakdown was, and I thought, why are the Jaguars laying points to anybody?
Yep. Well, because the Texans are awful. But
Correct.
That's the deal.
Mills, actually, though, isn't that bad.
Oh, easy.
He's not good, but he's been better than Lawrence this year. Read into that how you want, but he has been better than Lawrence. Lawrence has been useless the whole season.
Browns backer is checking in, says, bad news, my Browns got screwed again. Of course, the NFL changes COVID testing. Scott, what do you think of the COVID testing? The pandemic is kind of resurged here, and a lot of players are testing positive. So what would the answer be to that problem, do you think?
No idea.
Less testing, Scott.
It's a spot where truth is you're kind of screwed either way. So it might be an out of sight, out of mind approach.
That's exactly what
people can test positive for COVID, but if you don't do the testing for it, then nobody is COVID, right?
It's like when a cat hides their head under the blanket. They think you can't see them because they can't see you. I don't know. It's
a mutual understanding. Like, listen, the whole league can get COVID, but we're gonna make money. So, truth is, there's no way to avoid an outbreak. We saw it in pretty much all of the major sports. You're just kind of at the mercy of being in close contact with somebody or not. So you just got to hope it doesn't impact you and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I will say this, and it seems to be even more true, cautiously optimistic about the Omicron variant, that there have been very few severe cases among professional athletes. I know Freddie Freeman got a bad case before the baseball season. I know there was a guy in the
UFC
NFL.
fighters have gotten it.
Yeah, but for the most part, it seems to have a less detrimental effect on professional athletes as a whole. Young men in their prime of life and prime of their physical conditioning. So that's I kind of get it, but it just seems really weird. AJS wants to know if Chubb's going to get a TD tonight. I certainly hope so because I don't know who else will.
Yeah, he should. I'm a huge member of the Nick Mullins fan club. That's sarcasm, by the way. I
stick around for our bet the farm plays. We're gonna break our tradition and take a Nick Mullen interception prop. We're not really doing that. We actually talked about it. We couldn't find one. And Vegas laughed so hard they didn't even put a prop up. It probably would have been 1.5. You think it would have been a half, Scott, or would have been the rare 1.5?
I think it would be a half just because of the fact that I don't know how many times he's going to he's not going to be throwing the ball that much, or at least he shouldn't based on game plan. So I would say over a half at probably 180.
Yeah, maybe more, maybe 210.
It also involves the Raiders defense, which stinks. So that's why I think 180 sounds a bit fair.
It's going to be fun. You and I talked a little bit about this on air. We talked a lot about it off the air. From a selfish standpoint, who doesn't love an NFL doubleheader on Monday and on Tuesday? We go right into bowl game on Wednesday, and then we're back to NFL on Thursday. It's a great week.
I'm actually going to ask, though, the two games on the card tonight, how bad would you say those games are? 1 being good and 10 being the worst games you've ever seen.
Now, are you talking about with the how it should be on the calendar, or how it's actually going to be because of COVID and?
I mean, actually going to be.
Okay. The Browns Raiders game That
Yeah.
will be similar to the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game on the whatever that was, the Tuesday or Wednesday last year. That'll be about a 2 or a 3.
Okay.
The Vikings game could be a little bit better. Let's call it how good is a Vikings game ever going to be, though? Let's call it a 4.5. How about that?
Okay.
Brownsbackers just don't sleep on D'Ernest Johnson. I totally agree with that. I took a D'Ernest Johnson prop earlier in the year. He's a very, very fine running back. He would be a good enough running back to be a RB2 for 20 other teams, probably. He's a fine running back. I totally agree, Brownsbacker. Wasn't the Browns game actually supposed to be tomorrow? No, I don't think so. I think it was the first one they bumped, wasn't it? It got
I think
bumped.
so. Yeah,
because it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday game, so it got bumped to Monday, and then the Sunday game.
I was going to say it got bumped to Monday. The issue was the time, because originally I thought it was supposed to be on at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, which is why I got really confused.
I got
and then
that.
It got moved to 5.
I got that update, and I got it from Don Best. I forgot Don Best rolls everything in Pacific time.
Oh,
so they had
okay. So
they had the time correct. That was me. That was all on me. Oh, by the way, I haven't shown today. I have to do it. Oh, by the way, please remember to like and subscribe. If you don't like and subscribe, you're all getting a big lump of coal, and of course that counts as well as listening to our buddy Chris King doing Just Parlays over with Jim Williams, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the WWSBN. So make sure you check that out. As far as today, I know everybody wants to know what shirt I got. This is a classic, Scott. You ready? It's Cheech and Chong on the California Bear.
Nice.
I love my wife so much because she's just like, and I think it's a massive shirt. I don't know. I'm like a 3X guy. I think this is like a 5 because it's a dress right now. So my wife, I love her so much because she just gets these cast off shirts. She like does them on like eBay and shit. It really is. It's like a box of chocolates. Today I got a Chiefs shirt. So I'll be rolling that out tomorrow. Anyway, so anybody got any questions about games tonight? What do you guys playing tonight? What do you like? Scott and I, we had a hard time coming up with a play of the day. Not gonna lie. It was kind of again as we take our streak as our streak gets a little better and better, we work a little harder and harder on the farm because when you're losing, you're like, oh fuck, I didn't fucking just throw one out there. But when you're winning, you're like, we want to keep that going. So Eula Foster's here, says Browns W tonight. AJS says plus 410 Johnson to score. Really?
That's not bad.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all because I think they're going to have to spell Chubb with somebody. Yeah, that's solid.
Especially if Johnson's going to be the third down receiving back, then you always have the shot of him just taking over the Hunt role and just trying to catch a dump off pass on 3rd and goal.
Yep. I think they're going to have to get creative because they are going to be without both of their tackles. I know Willis is out and the other tackle's out as well. JR Black says Browns in the under. Don't hate it. It's windy. Just too many Browns are down.
They're missing a bunch of guys, but
3 defensive backs.
Yeah, for the record, I like the under in that game. It's going to have serious Thursday night feels to me, where you just see a really awful product on the field because I'm really trying to figure out where the points are going to come from. The Raiders have no receivers. Waller's still injured, so we know that they're not going to be able to throw the ball. And Nick Mullins physically can't throw the ball. So I see a lot of running clock, a lot of ugly possessions, some wind that might push a couple of field goals wide. I get 40.5 sounding low. Is it really that low when you look at the actual rosters on the field? I don't think that the line's that bad.
No, and it hasn't moved much either.
Yeah.
That total hasn't been adjusted much. Bill McDonald, a game that you and I talked about, Scott, he's laying 12.5 tonight with the Jackrabbits as the Jackrabbits entertain the UMKC Roos. Roos have been surprisingly good so far, but we're going to find out if it's a product of who they've played or whether they're actually good because they've been really good on defense, giving up about 60 points a game. You're going to fucking get tested against South Dakota State. Team runs fast. They shoot a lot of threes. They act like, if you will, jackrabbits.
That's one way to put it.
It's really a very well named team there. T Train in the house. What's up, T Train? Bill McDonald says, "Do you guys think Gonzaga, Purdue, and Baylor cover those huge spreads?" Two of the three of them do.
I agree with
Massive.
that. I think the Gonzaga gives me a hard time just because of how underwhelming they've been and how much they've actually played with their food so far this season. They did end up beating Texas Tech over the weekend, which was impressive, but Tech has no offense. I do think that Northern Arizona isn't a good team, but Gonzaga, we saw them struggle against Tarleton for an entire game. We've seen them kind of struggle to cover huge numbers. Let's just say I'm not thrilled laying that big of a number with Gonzaga. Purdue should win by 40. I think they're going to kill Incarnate Word. I think they'll win that game handily. Baylor I really like, but you also have to wonder about motivation. Baylor's number one again. They had a nice road win against Oregon over the weekend. I know Oregon's not a good team, but you still traveled to that hideous court and you won a game. So that's still impressive to me. But, oh boy, I wouldn't try to parlay any of those, or I wouldn't really feel great about betting any of those because in college basketball, unless the team you're against is god awful, the team you bet on might just park it when they're up 30 in the second half. You know?
Yeah, just to remind everybody, Baylor's favored by 34.5. Purdue's favored by 39. Gonzaga's favored by 35. So
I think Gonzaga is going to win by 40 plus. So I think they should cover. Baylor, I think they're the best team in the country. I said I got them to win the title, and they went from like 22-1 to I think 15-1 in most spots. But they could kill Alcorn. The question is, do they care?
yeah, that is the question. Once you get up to 25 to 30, then what do you do? How good is your second string? How soon do they go in? How much do you take the air out of the ball? For me, just on general principles, I'll take all the dogs. Give me 35 plus in every game. I'll take it.
Okay.
T Train says I passed tonight after an awesome day yesterday. Only thing I'm thinking is that the Monday Night Football game, perfect scenario for the Vikings to step on their dicks. That does sound like a very Vikings thing to do, doesn't it? And
I'm not laying the points with Minnesota. I'll tell you that much.
It's Kirk Cousins on Monday night. Scott, what would you guess Kirk Cousins' Monday night passer rating is?
It's tricky because his
not QBR,
I know his prime time record, but that also includes Thursday night. So I'm trying to think of exclusively Monday night.
10 times he's been on Monday Night Football.
I don't know the passer rating, but is he? I'm trying to think if he's even won a game. Is he 1-9?
90.1, Scott.
Well, I'm saying, is he 1-9 straight up? I'm curious what his actual Monday night record is.
No idea.
It's not good. He hasn't won many games.
I'll just tell you how good Kirk Cousins has been. So
okay.
I
don't mind teasing the Bears and the under in that game. I think you get a decent teaser number there.
And Kirk's a beast in cold
weather. T-Train, I think Zimmer's an abysmal coach. I've said this time and time again, and people it's really common sense, but people don't think about it this way. If your head coach specializes in a given area, so let's just say your coach is an offensive genius, allegedly, or a defensive genius, and let's just say whatever he specializes in stinks. So if you have Zimmer, who's a defensive-minded guy, and the defense isn't any good, then why is he the head coach of your team? What is he doing for you? Sounds so simple, but a serious question. What's the point?
Yeah, agreed. That is definitely something you have to look at. Another game we talked about, J.R. Black on the Utah Jazz team total over 124.5 against Charlotte.
That total made me laugh. It was 235 on the overnight, and you're thinking, are they playing with last year's fouling rules? And now it's up to 238. So
it has been a little buyback, 237.5 now in some spots. So
it's a lot, but I kind of have to like the over. Utah has not played well the last couple of games, though. They lost to San Antonio. They lost to who else did they lose to? They lose to Washington.
They lose to Phoenix by 30.
No, I'm not talking about the Hornets. I'm talking about the Jazz.
Oh, you're talking about the Jazz?
Have lost 2 in a row. Or they just haven't played well.
San Antonio and Washington, yeah.
That's what I thought. So they're in a bit of a poor form there. The Hornets got embarrassed yesterday, which could be a good thing because they're playing back-to-back, but most of the guys didn't play many minutes because they were getting killed so quickly. in that game. Oh boy, I don't like taking the over with a team on a back-to-back. So if I was going to play it, it would either be the first half over or it would be the Utah team total over. But backing Charlotte on a back-to-back to contribute offensively, I am curious if they're going to struggle in the second half with a couple of short jumpers because of some fatigue there with travel involved. I'm
Right.
staying away from the full game under, but I do like the full game over, but I do like the first half over.
Okay. And you like the team total 124.5 as well.
I kind of have to. If I like the over, I'm penciling the Jazz in for about 130.
Okay. J.R. Black confirms he is 1-9 on Monday night.
Okay. I took a
And
guess, but it
my
sounded
my
good.
point is, it's not something you can always lay at the feet of Kirk Cousins.
I'm
Not
still
it's
sticking
not
with the teaser
not
strategy.
it's not tennis.
You can
What do you think
tease the
about?
Bears, get some key numbers, get the under involved.
Yeah, somebody was talking about teasing all those big numbers in college basketball. You like that? Teasing them all up to 40, 40
I
pick.
am not a fan of teasers in college basketball.
Right.
I actually did it back when I was in 11th grade. My friend and I would do a bunch of like 10-point teasers in college basketball, and we actually made a fortune. And then I
Okay.
looked back on it, and I think it was a miracle because
Huh.
most people just cannot tease college basketball successfully. It's almost impossible just because of how random the performances actually are from the teams and how awful they can look on the road and how much they can just no show at home. It's really just so unpredictable because they're not really professional athletes. So you never know what you're going to get from them. But I'm not a fan of teasers conceptually. I did make a lot of money with them, but I look back on it and they consider that one of the flukier eras of my gambling history.
Made that 11th grade money. You driving to school in a Lambo, buddy?
Lambo, not so much, but I was able to purchase some, let's just say, beverages that I was too young to be purchasing.
Nice. Outstanding. Over on the Browns game, that's sharp. I don't hate it. I'm not as on the under as everybody else in this game because there's so many injuries in the defensive backfield for the Browns. I think the Raiders are going to be able to contribute. I don't think the Raiders defense, they're not good at full strength. I still think Nassib is questionable for this one, so they're going to be light on the defensive line, quite possibly. If I was going to,
I'm just fading both offenses. I can't take an
if,
over with Nick Mullins at quarterback. I just can't do it.
if I'm playing a total there, I'm playing the over. I'm not getting involved, but if I do, I'm leaning over. Somebody asked me if that's Jesus juice. No, it's my iced tea. We've talked about this before, dude. If I at my age, if I started drinking in the afternoon, the whole day's shot. I've either got to keep drinking or just take a nap. Just take about a 4-hour nap. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
You know, I did read somewhere that you can never be hungover if you keep drinking.
That's right. That's a good point. Bien trabajo says, ¿Cómo estás? Nada.
Bien. Yo soy bien.
I think anyone betting on the Browns Raiders game needs to go to a meeting. At the end of the day, you can make a case for that. I'm not going to shy away from that statement. There is so much uncertainty. I will say this: if you're watching anybody on a video, if you're reading previews of this game, and anybody tells you I got a stone cold lock, I know what the fuck's going to happen. You got to come to me. It's my 5-star play. That's even more than usual. That's bullshit because there are so many unknown factors in this game, and there's still unknown factors with people that are questionable. You don't know how they're going to fucking test. You don't know who's going to be inactive. Anybody tells you they got a lock on that game, they are full of shit. Now, they might get lucky. They might get it right, but nobody knows shit, and they know even less when it comes to this game.
I think that if you're going to bet this game, spoiler alert, but not really. I think you look into the prop market because you actually can bet on specific players to do stuff instead of hoping a bunch of random third stringers come through for you. I think that's the way to go about betting this game. But when it comes to actual side and total, oh boy, I'm so anti Mullins, man. I'm so anti. I think he's awful. I'm going with the Raiders in the under, but it's not like a strong opinion. I'm not going to bet it or anything like that. I do like Cleveland team total under. I do think that Mullins is going to basically be told to just hand the ball off for about 3 hours. So I think that you will see a lot of long drives. Chubb might break one every now and then, which wouldn't surprise me completely. But I do think that the Raiders defense at some point can give up some field goals instead of touchdowns. I think you'll end up seeing a lower scoring game, but I really just don't like Mullins at all. I think he's a terrible quarterback who shouldn't be in the league.
Ryan Page says, I'm thinking teasing both unders and the underdogs for a 4-team teaser. I don't hate that. I think that's as solid play as anything. Again, I'm worried about the points without defensive backfield because the Raiders, they can throw the ball. They've got Hunter Renfrow. They're kind of leaning on him like he was actually somebody. And there's another good prop for you. You want to take an over, take Hunter Renfrow over receiving yards. I don't even know what it is. Probably
either receiving yards or receptions, because they're just going to target him for a bunch of 5-yard slant patterns, etc.
Yeah, that works too. T-Train says he's not even watching it. Going to be worse than watching old people fuck. What? Hey, well then you're really going to hate my Pornhub channel. I'm just saying, stay away from it.
I don't know if you're verified or not, but you can make some money from that.
I have a 3-team parlay: Steelers, Bengals, and Browns. 50 to win 295. Offering 125 cash out right now.
No deal.
No, fuck that. 125. No.
I mean, you're of course getting plus money for a sweetener on the Browns, but I do think that you can always look for in play if you think that it's going to be a close game throughout. I think it will be. Eventually, I think the Raiders can generate a drive or two, because I do think that the Browns secondary is so banged up that I do think you can have some success. So I think you can look for a live play. The Browns, I think, will still come out focused at home. The question is, can they sustain it for a full 60? I don't, but I think you can get a good spot mid-game, maybe at halftime.
Kevin says, just hand it off. Yes, just hand it off. That's it. That's it. Bill McDonald said he had some TD props on the Bucks last night. I had the Bucks first half -6.5. So yeah, I'm right in that. I'm right in the fuck the Bucks boat as well. Incarnate Word and Purdue should get pretty ugly. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
You think Purdue wins the rebounding battle by over under 27.5?
Under, I think they out rebounded by about 22. Okay, I'm gonna address this, and I've let it slide, and I'm not gonna let it slide anymore. As you guys know, if you watch my videos, I keep everything completely 100% non-political. I just do, because I look at it as a haven for somewhere where you don't have to fucking argue about politics. There's everywhere else in the world. If you want to argue about politics, you can do it. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it in the YouTube videos, Twitter, whatever. I like to keep this space politics free. So I know there's somebody in there that's saying the vaccines don't work. So to me, it would indicate the vaccines actually are working, because what the vaccines are designed to do is mitigate the symptoms and keep you out of the hospital and keep bad outcomes to a minimum. So far, that's been the case. And as far as let's go Brandon, yeah, I'm not having it. Just not fucking having it. So everybody calm down. I don't care what side you're on. I honestly don't give a fuck what side you're on. Okay? So yeah, I just need to
I know there was one NASCAR driver that came out that said he was against it because that was like a chant for him in a way, but he knows it has the double meaning. So he's had enough of it. I don't know if you heard that story.
Yes, Brandon.
Yeah,
not digging it. James says, that's right. We're here to make money. That's right. So yeah, I'm not gonna belabor it. Everybody's cool. Everybody's got their opinions. Especially when it comes to football. Fuck, we can't even agree on football, let alone the fucking politics. So anyway, this is the most exciting Monday afternoon I've had in a long time. Dude, again, two NFL games. Biden, not the most likable guy. You know what? I'm not gonna argue with that. He's like, you're fucking grumpy.
That does sound pretty accurate, regardless of what side you're on. That does sound pretty right. That sounds pretty accurate.
What side you're on, you're like, yeah, I agree. So Scott, what do you got in the NFL or the NBA? We talked about a little bit. Anything you're liking tonight?
The NBA card to me looks exactly like the NFL card yesterday. You look around, you see a bunch of double-digit spreads.
Yeah, it's you've got a situation where they're fighting a lot of quarantine stuff there. I don't know, man. I've laid off the NBA for about a week since they all started getting testing positive for COVID. I was going to say, since it's not quite, hasn't hit every team and it hasn't hit them all equally, but I've stayed off. I know you've taken some plunges. How have you done the last week or so? Have you been able to leverage the COVID news to your advantage?
I've done well. I lost yesterday with the Spurs, which was extra unfortunate because the Spurs are one of the only teams that hasn't had an outbreak, and the Kings are missing half their players. And yet you had the Spurs no-show defensively and still lose by 7. So that kind of hurt. But for the most part, it's been okay. Of course, occasionally you're going to run into a last-second scratch, which is going to kick your ass. But I have been doing a pretty good job for the most part because I've been focusing on the players that have already been ruled out. So I've been trying to find the star players who are in the middle of the 10-day protocol quarantine and just fading them. You're kind of just having to ride a couple of things because you're hoping that there's no new news that breaks out that involves the team you bet on. But I've reduced the unit size a little bit personally because of the variance, but I've still been doing pretty well.
Very good. Jay Seaton says, see, now there's a non-controversial topic we can all agree on. The yellow is popping. Fuck yeah, it is. Ryan Page wants to know how exactly the Raiders can score tonight. I'm not seeing it. They can score.
Browns missing a bunch of defensive backs.
That's exactly right. And they've still got Hunter Renfrow, who's a fine receiver. Kings are scoring.
I see a Bien Trabajo asking for my opinion on the Mexico president race. If Canelo's running, throw a little sprinkle on him. That's all I got.
Because we do our election show. Should we start doing international elections? Do you want to start getting into that? You hated doing U.S. elections. I did Draggy Kirk in his.
Well, we made a bunch of money on the U.S. election show.
I think I've made you a fan, haven't I? Much like you have turned me on to UFC betting. I believe you have seen another path to profitability as far as politics betting, right?
Well, when it comes to politics, you know my go-to move. Just lay the mass amounts of juice on the Electoral College. You'll make a fortune. Doesn't matter
North
what
Dakota
the
ain't
numbers
going
are.
blue, kids. Ain't happening.
Just saying. If it's minus 1,000, just bet it. California's not voting Republican. It's free money.
We'll not give Renfrow a break. No, I won't. Bill McDonald says ODU looks pretty bad, and he took them. We did too. We're both on ODU here.
But you know who's covering right now?
What's that? You know who's covering?
You know who's covering right now? Old Dominion.
I know.
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there, guys. All right, very good. Anybody betting anything tonight? What else you got? You got anything else, buddy? What do you got?
I'm looking at the Celtics. Am I thrilled with it? No, but Philly's been a mess lately. There's really not much else to add. They're, of course, potentially going to be without Embiid, who's questionable, because why wouldn't he be questionable?
That's kind of his deal.
I mean, the Sixers have lost 3 in a row. They have not played well at all. They got killed on the road by Memphis by 35. They lost to Miami, who's missing about half their players, by 5. And they lost to the Nets, who are also missing about half their players, by 9. So I don't like the way Philly's playing right now. The first game was very close. It was 88-87. I like the under in this game. I do think 213.5 does sound a bit too high. But Boston, they got Jaylen Brown back. They've been actually playing better lately. I don't mind the Celtics there. I'd also look at the under.
So you don't matter. It doesn't matter to you. They're missing Parker, Horford, Williams, Schroeder's questionable, and Tatum's questionable.
It's not ideal, but don't you think it's pretty interesting that even with all of those guys who are potentially going to be out, they're still favored by 3.5?
I guess. I mean, I don't want any part of this shit right now. I don't want to see who can mesh and who can play well, who's going to be a game time decision.
I was going to say Tatum's questionable too, so that's why when it comes to NBA, you kind of have to just wait and see and hope your guys end up playing. I like the under as my favorite play on that game because I think that if Tatum plays or doesn't, both these teams had a very low scoring matchup the first time around. And if Tatum's out and Schroeder's out and both teams punt the game, how's either team going to score?
Yeah, I agree with that. If I had to play that game, I would take a spin on the under there. That's to me, that's why I've laid off, because it's just, there's not just the talent level, but it's how those guys mesh together, how well they know each other's moves, how much they practice as a unit. How about Jefferson tonight? Longest reception over 28.5.
Well, I know it's at 28.5 now. He's gone over in practically every game this season. I forgot the exact numbers. I think he's gone over in 12, 12 of 13, 12 of 14, I think. But
Yep.
28.5 seems like a decent amount, but then you remember who the Bears have on their secondary. It's not many great players, so I do think that you got a good shot at the over. Yeah, I don't have much more to add. Jefferson's a ridiculous receiver in one-on-one coverage, and I think he'll burn somebody once.
Kevin Solano, interesting prop. Dalvin and Nick Chubb over in yards. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I think Minnesota would love nothing better than to take the pressure off of Cousins on a Monday night. What do Browns man say about the bar?
Do you think the Bears are live tonight, or do you think they're just going to lose?
I think anytime the Vikings play professional football, the other team is live.
I think there's an easy way to go about this game. What you do is you wait until the Bears are down like double digits in the fourth quarter. Then you bet the money line because you know Zimmer's going to fall apart, and you can find yourself some potential fun sweating at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Some couple of questions about the UFC over the weekend. That was Tyron Woodley getting knocked out cold.
It was a hell of a knockout. Can Woodley just go away?
Yeah, I think it's.
I was tired of him back when he was still fighting in the UFC.
You documented his fall pretty well there on Twitter for anybody that didn't read that tweet from you. If you don't follow Scott,
I'll go through it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he was the UFC champion. Then he was a boring UFC fighter that nobody liked. Then he was a celebrity boxer. And then he became a meme. Span of about 3 years, by the way. That's kind of impressive. That's how you speed run failure.
Been a pretty good crash there. James, I said nothing on the board catches my attention personally. There's always tomorrow, God willing.
I don't blame you. It's a good approach.
Yeah, it is, and if you I put out picks every day because that's kind of what I'm paid to do. But in reality, there's definitely days I like the card better than other days. So yeah, I don't blame you, and don't be afraid to pass or don't be afraid to play light. There is tomorrow. There's this weekend. There's whatever. Those games aren't going anywhere. Just patience is a virtue. So I want the 4.5 hours of my life back from watching that Sunday night football game. Yeah, it was a terrible game, but at least it took a long time. Holy shit, was that awful. We didn't even get to
I got PTSD from that game.
But we did do.
I was envisioning Northwestern against Illinois. I was getting PTSD to Big Ten football midway through the game.
Yeah, I know. We had an odds makers. We're drunk, all set to go for that line as they scored 9 points total. So anyway, hey, let's get to it, man. Let's what are we 11-1? Is that right, Scott? 11-1 our last.
Yes, we're 11-1 in the last 12.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, right, buddy?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can keep it going, guys. You know what time of day it is. You guys are here. You're checking in. It's time once again. Put on your overalls and put the other strap up there. Come on. We're not going out on Saturday night. Strap it up. Put on your straw hat. Grab that corncob pipe. Climb aboard your John Deere. Get ready to fire that bad boy up because once again, folks, it's time to bet the farm. All right. Now, Scott, we had some people dancing around about this play, but before we do that, let's take a quick recap. How did we do last time?
So, over the weekend, we had the over in the Appalachian State Western Kentucky game, and it cashed in the third quarter.
Thought we were going to get there at halftime. Very, very solid play. Yeehaw!
Yeah. By the way, quick rant. How do you pull a quarterback when he's 33 yards away from 6,000? He's 33 yards away. You really can't let him throw a couple more passes?
I guess they figured they were going to get him all the records they were going to get him.
It was like watching Patterson get pulled when he's like 10 yards away from the record. And you're just like, what is happening right now?
All right, sir. What do we got cooked up for tonight?
So we're going back to the Browns-Raiders game, the game that everybody loves from the night. And we're looking at a player prop, and it's going to be on Nick Chubb. We like Chubb over 80.5 rushing yards at -118 on Fox Bet. If you don't have Fox Bet available, it's mostly at 81.5, but I do like the free extra yard there for 8 cents. But anyway, Cleveland, very good running team, averaging 143.5 rushing yards per game, which is the fourth most in the league. Chubb this season is averaging 92.6 rushing yards per game. We know how good he is when he's in the lineup, and I think he'll perform well here. Vegas, not good against the run, giving up 125.3 rushing yards per game, which ranks 26th in the league. And of course, Nick Mullins, the third stringer, is the starting quarterback. I'd be shocked if the Browns let him throw the ball more than 20 times in this game, unless they really, really need to. They'll run the ball a lot. Chubb's going to get a bunch of touches. I think by volume alone, he should get at least 25 touches on the ground. And I think that 80.5 for a number like that, based on the volume, is way too low. I think he goes north of 100.
Yep, I think that's solid. With Hunt out, he's going to, I think, have a little heavier workload than he normally would, even with Johnson being a solid back there. I think Chubb's going to get 20-plus carries that he should get home to this 80.5 without a problem. So that's going to do it for our show here today, guys. As always, we thank you for stopping by on this beautiful Monday. Of course, if you want to subject yourself to even more of us, we're going to be doing a couple of bowl previews here coming up pretty darn quick. We're going to be taking a look at the whatever the bowl game is for tomorrow, and then we're going to be taking a look at the Wednesday bowl game between Army and Missouri in the Armed Forces Bowl. So we'll be back with those in just a few minutes. But for now, that's it for the show. Monday's in the can. We appreciate you guys stopping by. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, everybody. Be good. Good luck on all your plays. And, of course, we will see you right back here tomorrow as Scott and I head back to the window. Take care, everybody.